The Muppets are back in a brand new show up on Disney+. I just watched the first episode and I'm here to break it all down and let you know what I think, so I hope you'll join me after the intro. Well, hello there. My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today we're watching the new show, Muppets Now. Now first, you might be asking, what is this show, and maybe you haven't heard of it yet. Well, this take on the Muppets harkens a little more back to the original The Muppet Show than, say, some of the recent takes, such as The Muppets or Muppets Tonight. This one here, Muppets Now, is a variety show full of comedy sketches, and apparently it's also unscripted. Now you'll find plenty of human guests popping in, kinda as you might expect based on the old Muppets show. And, of course, lots and lots of Muppets. There's going to be 6 different episodes, one coming out each Friday starting today, the 31st of July, and continuing on for a few weeks. Now let's get spoilery and talk about the first episode, which is titled Due Date. Being titled that way for needing to get the episode out by that due date. Okay, so it's set to the backdrop of Scooter getting the show ready and making it live. And this is kind of our framing of the whole thing that ties everything together, which kind of also gives it this bit of a feel of being separate YouTube videos almost as well, rather than just different sketches. Kind of interesting because it's all on the computer getting put together. Well, anyway, Kermit opens the whole thing up with, "You're watching Muppets Now, streaming directly from the Muppet Studio." And no, I'm not going to try to do a Kermit voice. And speaking of not trying to do a Kermit's voice, I will say that off the bat, I did notice a difference in Kermit's voice, which, having just looked it up, I see that Matt Vogel went ahead and took over Kermit's voice just back in 2017. And so, well, it'll take a little getting used to him being the third person to ever be Kermit. The only other two being Steve Whitmore and Jim Henson himself. But that said, I found myself getting used to his voice by the end of the episode, even while sometimes thinking about how it sounded different during the course of it. Well, right after that opening line, we drop straight into that framing device I talked about as we see ourselves on Kermit's desktop, then over to Scooter's desktop, and they're talking about, well, some notes he's got on the title card. Now, I don't think Scooter wants to listen to any of that anyway, but hey, there's no time because it's time to load the show right away. And there's some fun little background stuff like folders on the desktop, like Fozzie's jokes in there. There's some stuff of the Muppet Lab. And also an inspiring speech, apparently, from Kermit. All kinds of little Easter eggs in there if you want them. And then before we get off to our first full sketch, well, Kermit announces it to everybody and we get a whole lot of messages popping up on Scooter's computer. First, well wishes, and then followed with all kinds of complaints and notes. Probably my favorites of the bunch right there. First off, Gonzo apparently sending an elaborate CGI sequence to Scooter at the last minute. Or how about Miss Piggy's outrage that she wasn't shown the show before it was uploaded? Or, of course, good old Animal and more drums, more drums. Yeah. Well, anyway, on to our first of 4 different sketches we have for the show. And hey, it's a little over 20 minutes long, so that seems to be fitting for the amount of time we've got. So we start up with Miss Piggy's vlog, which is, in this case, titled Lifestyle. I guess it should have been Lifestyle. It's supposed to be in a pigsty, huh? And we've got multiple guests right here in this one. First, we've got Taye Diggs in there, and we've got this whole face-slapping massage thing going. You can make a guess how that one goes. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Nice light slapping for Taye, and not so much for Miss Piggy. But she gets her own right back. And then there's this whole multi-camera thing going on where we've got Janice, Rosie the Sheep, and Linda Cardellini in, our second guest for the episode. And really, it's a scene that you could take right out of today's COVID world as they're all popping in from their homes at a distance. And so it definitely has that feel that we're gotten quite used to with all the content coming out in these last few months. And that's fun. You gotta love the sheep too. Rosie's the highlight right there. I mean, other than Miss Piggy. I mean, Miss Piggy's always the highlight in anything she's in. Yeah, I'm sorry. Ooh, don't tell Miss Piggy I almost said something different. And then on to our second one, we've got Muppet Masters. So apparently this will be hidden talents of Muppets you know, and I guess they're all probably going to be hosted by Walter. Well, anyway, we start out with Kermit, who's a master photographer. Except he isn't. He's actually a master photobomber. Photobomber. I mean, that was fun. As he keeps photobombing each of these things, we see him in other people's images, and then, well, Sam Eagle's here for the photography thing, and somehow Kermit inexplicably is able to keep getting in photobombing image after image without seemingly moving. Which, hey, it's the kind of comedy, it's fun, you enjoy it. It moves right along. And then we move to the end piece of that one, and hey, we're teaching good old Walter to photobomb. Well, if you're expecting some comedy, you're in the right spot, and you're probably guessing who that means he's likely to photobomb. Oh yeah, it's Miss Piggy. Ooh. You can guess how that goes too. Just like you probably guess what happened to the whole face slapping. Yeah, he gets a hi-ya. Oh, one other spot that was funny in that whole thing was good old Sam Eagle. And dry humor as always, of course. But then at the end, when they leave him, he decides that, oh, we must be doing a time lapse, so I'm going to hold perfectly still. Poor Sam Eagle. Yeah. Well, on to our third section. Our third section, we had good old Okey Dokey cooking with good old Swedish chef. Now, we've got a new person in this segment now, other than just the guest. And we've got Beverly Plume, the turkeys, going ahead and hosting the whole thing. So, in case you're not familiar with it, we've got a cooking competition kind of idea going on. And the guest this time is Carlina Will, who has had a cooking show in the past over on YouTube. Nothing new in there for like a half year or so. And she does other stuff with Disney as well. And so she's in here and doing a Caribbean curry. Now, I will say, Swedish Chef completely failing to make his meal is fun to watch, no doubt. But I think if anything, it actually just wasn't quite over the top enough. I think it needed to go further to really be fun. I mean, fun-er? More fun? More fun. So, hey, still a fun section, but I think it was the weakest of all four of the big sketches in there. Now, if I had to say the highlight of the piece, probably the chef marinating his chicken until the chicken found out what he was doing and then ran away. Yeah. And hey, Carlina Will did a good job in there too. So yeah, enjoyed the section, even if it was the weakest of the four. On to the next section, the final of the four sections. We have Mupp Close and Personal, which is apparently where Kermit will be doing interviews with all kinds of cool people. In this case, RuPaul is the guest. And so, hey, Kermit has this serious, deep conversation with him, and that's it. You didn't buy that, right? No, of course not. I mean, it starts out that way, but it doesn't quite end up, because of course it gets derailed, as you would expect, by one Muppet after another. So some of the highlights in this one. Well, first off, Gonzo's questions were a ton of fun. Whether it was him asking about how many pennies could fit in the room. I mean, who the heck asked that, right? Or how about the crazy hypothetical about, RuPaul, would you like to know if you were sitting on top of a trap door over top of a bunch of sharks? Sure. Yes? No. I don't know. Oh no, it was good. And then the other one, at the end, we've got, well, a little before the end, we've got Miss Piggy going ahead and dropping in, now bombing poor Kermit's little interview session and talking with RuPaul. And man, the two of them get along so well, and that's just match made in heaven right there. And I mean, heck, I love that it just gets to the point that they feel like almost walking out, and I buy the conversation to it. It was a ton of fun, especially between those two. And then we close out the whole episode after that. We have a little bit of other fun stuff there, but just kind of minor stuff. So when it came to it, my favorite section of this one, the favorite sketch, was Mupp Close and Personal. I just thought RuPaul was a joy to have on. and especially the interactions with Gonzo and Miss Piggy. And as for the show as a whole, well, it ebbed and flowed for how good it was, which, in fairness, I think is probably to be expected for a sketch show. It's definitely nice to have some new enjoyable Muppets content to watch, and I am looking forward to seeing some more. Now, on that note, what am I most looking forward to and hoping to see? Well, first off, Gonzo. I love Gonzo, and I am wondering what we'll get. There was a little piece in here where he said something about a survival show with only his wits and a salad fork. Is that actually gonna be a sketch we'll actually get to see? Or was it just like a quick little one-off joke just for this episode? Well, at any rate, we've got to have something full Gonzo somewhere in here at least. And then for me, I love Fozzie Bear too. Gotta have Fozzie. And I mean, we've got to have Fozzie get the spotlight in something. Not just pop up for a quick little bit over in the close and personal piece. And also Bunsen and Beaker. Oh, it's going to be too much fun. There's no way we don't have some good sections with them. And hey, those are who I'm probably most looking forward to seeing that, well, we didn't see or, well, see much of this time anyway. And I'll give a quick honorable mention to Animal. Hey, on that note, what about you? What do you think of the show so far? Did you have a favorite character or joke or someone you're really looking forward to that wasn't here but you want in one of the next 5 episodes? Well, let me know down below in the comments. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share with someone you think will too, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the force be with you always.